Hi and welcome to Outwell and to the Roswell 5A from our air collection. You can see here that it's a tunnel design tent which is aimed to sleep up to 5 people. It has 2 bedrooms across the back, a good sized sealed living space and an extended canopy, all of which we will show you in detail shortly. But first of all, I'll talk you through the features on the outside. So what I'd like to start off with is our fly sheet that we're using here, which is our Outtex 4000 material. So this is a good quality taffeta polyester, and what you will find is on top it's 150 denier and on the side is 75. So it's actually twice as thick on the roof section as it is to the side, and of course that's going to give you much better protection under sunlight in terms of degradation to the material. The material itself is also fire retardant and it has been UV protected as well, so it is going to last you a good long time. In terms of waterproofing, it's fully PU coated on the inside and all of the seams have been fully taped as well to ensure that it is waterproof with a hydrostatic head of 4000 millimeters. Some of the other features on the outside here, you can see we're using our air-effective ventilation system, so this is a real sleek and streamlined ventilation. You can see just under here is where we have a mesh panel. If it gets a little bit chilly, you can take these away just by removing the Velcro tabs and pressing down like this. But always good to reduce condensation on the inside of the tent to leave these vents open like this. So some of the other features then, you can also see that we're using our classic luminous guy lines throughout the tent here. Of course that's going to allow you to be able to see these a little bit easier when it's a bit darker outside. And you'll find also that we do have a retainer for each guy line as well, which is what this Velcro loop is for. So when you pack the tent down, we can roll up the guy lines and just pop them in there, so the next time you come to use it, these are going to be easily accessible. So another great feature of this tent is that we have large windows all the way around the outside of it, of course, and that is going to allow you plenty of light inside to make it feel nice and spacious. But these are actually tinted windows, so there are 2 key functions to them. One of which is to reduce the amount of glare from the sun inside the tent, and the second is of course to give you much better privacy when you're in there as well. So I've already mentioned just at the beginning here that we have this large canopy section across the front here, so that's going to give you a real good sheltered area. But what I want to do is just go around the other side of the tent now, just to talk about the frame that we use on here. So for me, one of the main features of this tent is the frame. With it being from the air collection, you may have guessed that this tent is indeed inflatable. So there are 3 tubes across the tent here, each of which have all got their own in valves and all of their own out valves. Now what that means is that this tent is really quick and easy to pitch, and of course also to take down as well. In terms of pitching the tent is supplied with a double action hand pump, just like this one here. So with it being double action, every time you pull the handle up and push the handle down, you are actually going to be inflating these tubes, so that's what makes it so quick. What you can also do though is just keep an eye on the pressure, because the pump does have this pressure gauge on the top here. So when you're inflating each of these tubes, you can keep an eye here, and what we would recommend is inflating this up to 7 psi, which is 0.5 bar. The actual valves themselves, as I say, are on each individual tube, and really simply what you'll find on here is you have an air in valve, which you can see just quite clearly stated here, and an air out valve just underneath it. So when you're inflating the tent, you'll see that under here we have a one-way valve, so you can see that this is open at the moment, but there's no air coming out, and this would be where we attach the pump to inflate it. Once you have inflated it, it's just a case of popping the cap back into place, and that's you. In terms of deflating, also very easy to do, because you'll see just under the air out cover is where we have the release valve. So it's just a case of opening this valve up and the air will rush out, and when you do that on each of the tubes, the whole tent will drop down, ready for you to then roll it up and pop it back into its bag. The Roswell 5A comes with our easy pegging system, and that's where we supply 3 different types of pegs with the tent. So you have these good quality solid steel pegs here, which are for the corners of the tent and would be your anchor pegs and would go into the grey pegging points. You have the black plastic peg here, which is of course for all of the black pegging points around the side of the tent, and you then have your luminous peg to match your luminous guy lines. So the easy pegging system, making sure that you get the right peg in the right place. Also what I'd like to just highlight is the side entrance to this tent here, and in particular the fact that it has got a full mesh door on here. So you can see there is still the waterproof door, which is rolled up at the moment, but then you have this large mesh door here which is zipped into position to give great ventilation within the tent. So as I mentioned before, this tent has got this canopy included with it. In terms of setting it up, it's really simple to do. Once the tent is inflated, it actually just zips into place, and then we have a steel pole at the front here. Now what this canopy gives you is a great bit of either shelter or shade. Of course, if it's a little bit drizzly outside, but still nice and mild, you can sit out here and have the shelter. Or, of course, if you're lucky enough for it to be a nice sunny hot day, then you should get a good bit of shade from here as well. And we do have some good quality storm guys on the front here. There are 3 of them across here just to keep it in place. If the wind really, really picks up, then you can easily zip this off, though it's not a problem to do that at all. So coming to the tent itself, you'll see that the front door here is a really good size front door. It's nice and wide and really high as well, so it certainly is a full walk-in style tent. With it being that little bit wider, it's going to be nice and easy for you to get all of your kit in and out of here as well. You can see as well that we have the door rolled up at the moment, so the outside door, of course, is a waterproof door, and it does have a large window on there as well, which is of course tinted just like the rest of them. But then just behind here, hopefully you'll be able to see that there is then a full mesh door rolled up here as well at the moment. But again, you can drop that down, and that coupled with the side door here and with the ventilation on the side and the back, it's certainly going to be a very well ventilated tent. This area here is a good space. Again, still stand up height. I'm quite tall at about 1.95 m, and I can stand up in here no problem at all. We have a couple of good sized chairs and a table in here at the moment, and there's still plenty of space around us as well. Again, I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that we have these really large windows all the way around us, these tinted windows. But what you will find is each window does have its own curtain. So if you do want a little bit more privacy or less light coming into the tent, they all do have curtains all the way around here. If you can see at the moment, we just have it rolled away, but this can be brought either halfway up or, of course, fully closed, and that's the same for all of the curtains throughout the tent. The whole living area here from the front right to the back and side to side is totally sealed. So completely waterproof ground sheet, and it's bathtub in style. So you'll just see here, it comes up around the edges. Of course, that's going to stop things like dirt, dust and sand from coming in, and it's going to obviously stop drafts as well from coming into the tent, keeping it a bit more cozy, and hopefully it'll keep out those unwanted bugs as well. So just in the middle of the front tube here, we do have a lantern hanging point in the middle just here. What you will find from here is that we have cable tidies that run away from it in both directions, one of which goes down to a cable entry point in the side door, another one comes down and around to the front here, where we have a second cable entry point, which is what this is for here. So when it's open, that's going to allow you to run your cables into the tent here without actually having to open up this outside door here. Of course, when not using it, you can fully close it over as well. Towards the back of the tent is where the bedrooms are, and as I said before, this tent can sleep up to 5 people. A really neat feature here is that these are already in place for you the first time you pitch the tent, so they come pre-attached, so it's a job you don't need to worry about. In terms of features, we have some handy pockets on the outside here. The bedroom doors themselves have also got mesh ventilation on the front of them here, so again, nice and cool within the bedrooms. But once you're inside the bedrooms, you'll see we still continue with features here of handy storage pockets down the side. It's ideal for smaller bits and pieces. Across the back, we have a large ventilation panel, which again corresponds to outside ventilation on the fly sheet. And then between the 2 bedrooms, you can see here that we have this zipped piece of material which can be opened at the front and back and rolled up to the top here to create one large bedroom across here if needs be. We also then have a few optional extras available for this tent that would be a fleece carpet, just like this one here, for the living area, and that of course is going to give you that little bit more comfort underfoot. There is a footprint available to go under the tent to protect the ground sheet on those wet and muddy days, and there is also an awning that can be attached to this tent as well if you want that little bit extra outside storage or living space. So there you have it then, all the features of the Roswell 5A from the Air collection. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, this tent can be inflated using our Typhoon 12-volt compressor pump.